Hey everyone, Sarah Carbonella here, and I'm going to tell you the 7 quick tips that I have for anyone that is a new bikini competitor like myself or is deciding to be one. And welcome to my life. Let's get started. Hey everyone, Sarah Carbonella here, and I'm going to talk all things about bikini competing for anyone that is either deciding to be a bikini competitor or for anyone that is a newbie like myself. I personally have done so much research, have talked to so many bikini competitors over the course of the last 2 years that I kind of been on and off about doing this or not doing this, but especially 2 months before I hired my coach Steven, I really dove in, made the commitment, said I'm going to do this, but if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So here are 7 quick tips that I have that hopefully will help you and educate you a little bit more based on the many months that I have done some research. So here we go. Tip number 1 is to know the commitment and understand that if you are not someone that's fully committed into doing this, you're probably going to really struggle, right? There are going to be times where it's really hard. There's going to be times where it takes up majority of your time. There's going to be times where you have to choose this over other things. And so you need to decide, are you really committed to do this or not? If you're someone that's going through a really stressful situation in your life right now, maybe you can hire a coach but not actually be considering competing right now. For example, if you're someone that's about to have a wedding, or you're someone that is about to move, or maybe planning on getting pregnant, or all different scenarios, you have to understand that this is something that's going to be very time consuming, and it's going to be something that you spend a lot of money on, and it's going to be something that's going to consume your life. But if you love the journey, if you love this and you understand your why, which is things I'll talk about in a little bit, you're going to love this journey and you're going to think of it as commitment that you're willing to make. So for example, if you're someone that loves going out Friday and Saturday nights and getting drunk and drinking with friends, you have to understand that if you're deciding to compete, those are things that are not going to have to be a priority. Are you able to go out with friends here and there? Yeah, I do. Especially in my off season right now of reversing, I definitely do go out with my friends here and there, and I have a drink or 2 here and there. But especially once I start cutting and really prepping for my show around 20 weeks out, drinks are gone. And so if you're someone that's like socially is your main priority right now, understand that that is your priority and maybe competing isn't. For example, maybe you're single and new to a new city or town and you want to go out and meet people. Maybe this isn't a priority to make, right? Again, everyone's situation is different. Everyone's scenario is different, just based off the experiences and things that I had to say no to because I'm making this priority. Definitely has already had somewhat of a hitch into my social life and the things that I'm able to and not do, and just based off conversations I had with other people as well as watching other competitors on YouTube, that is a huge thing. So if you're able to go out with friends and say no to drinks and say no to like pub food and make sure that you're okay with bringing your own meals to places, like then maybe this is for you, but understand that is going to be commitment. For example, I have 2 weddings 3 weeks out of my first show, and so I literally am going to be bringing my own food in a container and not eating or drinking at these weddings. And let's just say I'm also a bridesmaid at one of them. So, but again, these are commitments you're gonna make because you have those goals, right? Also, let's talk about time commitment. Time is a huge thing. For me, I spend anywhere from an hour to 2 hours at the gym every single day, depending if I have cardio or not. And right now, guys, my cardio is really low. But my lifting sessions take a while for me to have the appropriate rest time and make sure that I am going 100% in all of my trainings and lifts. So understand that. Do you have time to be going to the gym that much every day? Do you have time to meal prep? Do you have time to plug things into my fitness pal and weigh food out and track things? Understanding that for me, I think my mind and my focus committed to my meals and workouts and planning and stuff like that can go anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a day. And my life literally revolves around it. What I'm gonna eat per week is based on what my macros are going to be. Can I go out for a date night? I don't know. Let me track my macros, right? And so just understanding that if you're deciding to do this and you want to do well. If this is just a bucket checklist thing, like, you go, friend, you go for it. But if you're someone's like, I actually want to do well, like for me, when I decide something, I go balls to the wall, I 100% commit, I go after it. It's going to be something that takes up a lot of your time, a lot of your decisions, a lot of your commitment, right? So understand that. The second thing is I 120% recommend hiring a coach. Hiring a coach is so important because even if you're someone that might be a personal trainer already or has a good idea about macros or experience in this, it's always nice to have like second eyes to see and give you advice and give you recommendations, right? I know so many people who are personal trainers that hire a coach to help them out because it's really nice to have someone else look at you and give you advice, especially since you see yourself in the mirror every single day. When someone sees you once a week through photos or through videos or whatever it is, they're going to see different changes and they're going to know different things. So it's a great opportunity to learn new things. I do want to say some red flags or some things I learned about coaching. Coaching is something that you really do need to take seriously. Don't just hire the first coach. Don't just hire someone because he has 100,000 followers on Instagram. It's really important that you do your research and find out what are the do's and don'ts that you want as a coach. What are the things that are non-negotiables? What are the things that are important to you? And asking those questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions because you want to see if it's a good fit for you, and also the coaches want to see if you're a good fit for them, right? There's going to be some coaches that are definitely more hand holders. There's going to be some coaches that are definitely more loving. There's going to be some coaches definitely more strict. There's going to be some coaches that do meal plans versus macros. There's going to be some coaches that have some requirements that you need to do in order to be on their team. And so I would definitely look into kind of what are your non-negotiables and what is important for you. So here's some tips of what I did when I was looking for a coach. What I did, especially the 2 months before I hired a coach, related to 2 months of research, I reached out to all different bikini competitors and asked them who their coach was and what their overall experience was, what they liked about them, what they didn't like about them, and any referrals. And 9 times out of 10, they hyped up their coach. But there's some girls that, like, this is my third coach, and I didn't like my first 2 because of X, Y, and Z. So I was able to really get an insight of when I hire a coach, what is important to me. The second thing is use your resources of YouTube, especially if coaches are on YouTube. It is a great way to find out the personalities, find out what they're kind of interested in, especially if there's like a head coach. For example, I joined Team Pro Physique and I got a referral for Paul Revelia and heard he was amazing. And so I went on his YouTube and his Instagram, and I loved his journey. But I also saw that he had a coach named Steven who was tagging along with him on every single show. Steven's a coach with Team Pro Physique. Steven's actually the first coach Paul ever hired. So once I narrowed it down to 3 coaches that I'd be interested in, and I reached out to Team Pro Physique and said, hey, I would love to work with Paul. However, if he is full, I would love to work with Steven too. The reason why I found out about Steven, I'm like, hey, if Paul hired Steven as first coach, he must know what he's doing, right? Also, Paul has Steven with him for every single show. And so it's definitely like his wingman of this competing, right? And so that's why I hired my coach. And that's not the only reason, but I'll get more into that later. So I had 3 different coaches that I had narrowed down my search to, and I did their questionnaires, and I answered questions about myself, sent progress photos, whatever. And there's one coach I had to cross off the list ASAP. I had a really good gut feeling at first, but again, don't jump in 100% right away, because this coach has so many followers, so many competitors on his team. However, he is like the main guy, and he has a bunch of coaches on his team. I couldn't find any of those coaches. I had no idea who those coaches are just because they're under this main guy's name, right? And so when I did the questionnaire, he answered my email, he followed me on Instagram, he's being super kind. And I was like, honestly, like, this seems like a really good fit. Like, obviously, you're not coaching me, you're full. He only coaches pros at this point. And I'm like, okay, like, can I meet who like my coach would be or who a good fit would be? He's like, yeah. So it's $1,000+ to enter like our team, and then we'd find out your coach. And I said, whoa, like, I have to pay $1,000+ before I meet my coach? I'm like, you look like you guys are doing all the things. However, I need to know it's a good fit, right? That's like the one tip I got from everyone else. Make sure your coach is a good fit. He's like, yeah, well, you understand they're under me, so they will get the whole gist of things. And I'm like, I'm not paying $1,000 to not know who my coach is, right? It was over $1,000. And so that's something I'm gonna get to later, but like, this sport is very expensive. Anyway, and so I was like, no, off my list. So what I really liked about Steven was when I reached out to Team Pro Physique, I sent him my pictures, I sent them all from information. He actually sent me a video message back, like, hey Sam, like, this is what we'd be doing if you chose me as a coach. Like, we'd be doing this and not this. Like, we'd progress on these muscle groups and not these muscle groups. Like, he really broke things down for me. And what I also love is that he was so honest. So back November 2020, I wanted to compete spring of 2021. I had no idea really about how long things could take. But based off the macros and the calories that I was already having, he literally told me straight up, like, hey, you competing this spring is not going to be healthy. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to reverse for 6 to 12 months to really bring those calories up so that when we do cut, you're at a deficit, but you're not at a deficit at 800 or 900 calories. You're at a deficit at like 1,200, which is so much healthier for you. And so I appreciated his honesty. I appreciated the fact that he really took the information I gave him and was already scheduling out a plan. And then on top of that, we got on a one-on-one call and I was able to ask some more questions. And so long story short, for tip number 2 is find a coach, do your research, ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions, guys. They're going to be your coach, right? You're hiring them for a reason. Tip number 3 is understand that this is expensive. I actually have up here some breakdown prices. Understand that it's going to be different for everyone, but hiring a competition coach is going to be anywhere from $900 to $2,000. Sometimes more, sometimes less based on their experience, but understanding that. But again, hiring coach is so important. Your NPC card is $180. So I just bought that. So you need a card to even compete, but do understand there's different federations, but I'm competing at NPC. So it's $180. Understand that contest registration, like actually your competition is $100. If you get a hotel room for your shows, $100+ a night. Traveling expensive, you plane ride, gas, those things can add up. Your suit, when I'm looking at suits, they're anywhere from $500+, right? There's gonna be suits that are cheaper, but you do have to understand, especially bikini, you get judged off your appearance, how everything is looking and working. And if you get a crappy cheapo suit and that doesn't fit you right, or you really bring your best package, right? So there's different ways to save money here and there, but some things I would not save money on is your suit and your coach. Just saying. Competition heels, I got mine for $70 on Angel's Bikini, I believe. Your tans, around like $150. Makeup and hair, if you choose to get it done professionally, is $200. I'm doing it because I suck at makeup and hair. Like it looks kind of good right now. But if you're someone that gets stressed out really easily, I recommend getting done professionally, or you're someone that can curl their hair and do your makeup great, or you have a friend that do it, there's a way to save money. Admission ticket for your supporters goes anywhere from $35 to $50 if you're going to pay for them. And if you get stage photos, $100 to $250. And there's just a few things. So it really does add up. And so if you are on a budget right now, I understand that it is expensive. The fourth one is know your why. Know why you're doing it and let that fuel your soul and your heart in your workouts, right? There's gonna be times that you are exhausted. There was a week period where I was lifting freaking heavy, man, like so heavy, where I literally laid down on the gym floor at one point and a guy came up and was like, ma'am, are you okay? And I was like, I'm dead. Like I was so exhausted. I feel like I was dying. And I had to remember my why. I put on like this one song that's like my hype up song. And I was like, I'm doing this because I want to be the best. I want to push myself to the limits. I want to prove to people that I can do this. And I want to prove to myself that I can transform my mind and my body the way I want to do it, right? And so why are you deciding to do this? Why does this interest you? Do you want to be a role model to your kids? Do you want to get healthier? Do you want to, are you a fellow athlete? That's me. I used to be a D1 athlete, and so I miss the competition. I miss being on stage. I miss the working hard towards something for an end goal. So understanding your why is going to help you during those really, really tough times. The fifth thing to know is that there's so many different organizations. For example, I'm going to be competing in NPC. There's OCB, and there's a bunch of other federations that you can do your research on of what you want to compete in. Those are also going to determine how close some shows are. There's going to be some local shows that might be one federation and some further shows that are other federations. Also understand that there's certain federations that care a little bit more about natural bodybuilding and not natural bodybuilding. There's certain federations where you have to get drug tested before you can compete, and there's certain federations where they don't care. So understand kind of your morals, your values, and understand to do your research on what you want to do and do your research of where shows are, which kind of gets me to tip number 6 is to attend a show before you compete in your own. This is a piece of advice I've got multiple times from different people. So I'm going to be attending a show in June or July nearby. And I heard it's really important because you're able to kind of like get the feel of how a show is run, the pressure of it all, the excitement of it all before it's your first day on stage and you're just completely overwhelmed. I heard people enjoy going to shows just because of the stuff, like the music. People are prancing around, like everyone looks great. So it's a great way to kind of like figure out how a show is run, what is expected, how long a show is, just so you dip your toes in the water before you're going to be the one on show day where you're like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. 'Cause that's me. I get stressed and overwhelmed very easily, so I'd rather like prep myself and figure out things to go beforehand. And number 7, my last one is practice your posing. This is for my people out there who are deciding to join the bikini competing community. Hey, what is up? But practice your posing ASAP is so important, guys. I started practicing literally like the day I signed up a coach. Did I know what the heck I was doing? No, but there's so many resources on YouTube that can help you and you get your own pizzazz on it. But I do also recommend hiring a posing coach. So with that being said, if you are someone that decided to join like a team for your bikini competition, for example, I'm on Team Pro Physique. Well, one of the coaches is there's actually 2 posing coaches a part of my team. So I'm able to practice with Shanika for super cheap, and able to get one-on-one like FaceTime calls with her, 30 minutes, once a month, and I'm able to get critiques from her for her to tell me exactly how to be. Because YouTube is great. You can follow so many resources. You can follow so many other people. But you have to understand that 1, your body is different. 2, the way people pose is because you're trying to show off your good things and hide your flaws that you have. And so things that you might be seeing someone do, you shouldn't be doing, right? For example, I'm 5 foot, so I'm like, how do I make my waist actually look tiny when my torso is this big? So these are things that you will learn from an actual posing coach. So buy your bikini heels, should be one of the first things you buy, literally $70. Walk around the house in them, practice with them, pose with them, get used to them, and practice posing beforehand before you develop bad habits. That's another thing I've learned from so many other competitors. They said they didn't, for their first show, they didn't practice until like 20 weeks out, and they just didn't have that comfortable sassness, right? Because again, eating healthy, working out is what you need to do, but your presence on stage is also, right? Their judges are going to choose a girl who's more confident and able to hit her poses and have a little more sass with it than the girl that's still learning how to wobble in her freaking shoes, right? And so practice your posing, get a coach for that if you can, and it's really helpful. So break down again my 7 tips for new bikini competitors or people that are deciding they want to do it. 1, commitment. Know the time commitment, know the social commitment, understand what comes with it, and the consistency that's going to happen with it. 2 is hire a coach, but understand what your morals and values, beliefs are in a coach, and look out for red flags. 3 is understand that this sport is mad money expensive. 4 is understand your why and let that fuel your heart and soul. 5 is understand there's different organizations and shows and understand what you kind of are looking forward to, and also that different organizations have different posing. So pick an organization so you can pick a posing coach and understand the certain poses you need to do. 6, attend a show so you can get the whole pizzazz and figure out how things are. And 7 is to practice your posing. If you guys have any more questions or want to know more about what I'm learning along this journey, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and like this. Give it a thumbs up if you thought this was helpful, and share this with a friend if you know someone else who's looking to compete. Enjoy your day, my friends, and peace out.